Hi there and welcome to this handover style video for the BYD Dolphin. My name's Aidan Smith and today we're going to be covering a lot of things in this video. But don't worry, if you want to find out, for example, how to pair your phone, you'll be able to skip in this video to the area of your desiring. But if you have any questions at the end of this video, please get in contact with a member of staff at your local retailer. So firstly, we're going to explain your key. Nice and easy to explain here. The button at the top will lock the vehicle. The next button will unlock the vehicle. This third button here, if you click it twice, will release the boot lock. And finally, this button at the bottom, if we hold for around 3 or 4 seconds, it will get the internal technologies all going. For example, the fans. This is very, very useful in the winter months for defrosting the vehicle, for example. When it comes to batteries and charging for the BYD Dolphin, it's nice and easy to explain. The active and boost models come with a 44.9 kilowatt-hour BYD Blade battery. And the larger specification comfort and design models come with a 60.4 kilowatt-hour Blade battery. When it comes to charging, nice and easy to explain as well. The active and boost models with the smaller battery, 0 to 100% charging with a 7 kilowatt connection will take around 7.5 hours. If you have the boost model, you will be able to charge up to 11 kilowatts, 0 to 100% in just 5 hours. When it comes to that larger battery, if we want to charge at 7 kilowatts, 0 to 100% will take around 10 hours. And charging at 11 kilowatts, 0 to 100% will take around about 6.5 hours. When it comes to DC rapid charging, as we can charge this car much faster in this method, we can charge up to 65 kilowatts on the active and boost model and up to 88 kilowatts on the comfort and design model. These may sound like smaller figures, but 30 to 80% charging in this method will take under half an hour on both trim levels. One great feature for the BYD Dolphin is V to L, or vehicle to load. This adapter comes standard on the design trim, but all of our trim levels can actually do this feature. So if you'd like the adapter, you can purchase this optionally from our after sales department. All you do is plug it directly into the charging output, and you can power devices off of it. But how does that work, you might say? Well, if you're powering something which is 1 kilowatt, then in 1 hour, you will use 1 kilowatt hour. Assuming you have a full charge, then it will use the amount of battery in the car and power it for a number of hours. A fantastic feature. Now to talk about the charging cables you receive as standard for your BYD Dolphin. Firstly, we have a 3-pin plug socket charger that you receive as standard. That allows you to charge your car from a 3-pin plug socket. The second cable is a Type 2 charging cable that allows you to charge up to 7 kilowatts or 11 kilowatts dependent on trim level. And finally, if this car is a design trim, then it will receive a vehicle to load adapter as standard as well. So now we're in the car, we're going to talk about some basic controls first. First thing we need to do is start the car, a foot on the brake and hit the start button. Once we've done that, what we can now do is we can start to move our seating, our mirrors, and also our steering wheel. First thing for seating, we have electronic seats as standard on all trim levels for this car, and they're all controlled via down here. And once you're in the right position, we now want to look at our mirrors. We have a button for each mirror respectively, left and right, and a button at the top to fold the mirrors electronically, with an up, down, left and right to control your mirror positions. And now we can set our steering wheel position by taking our hand down here, releasing and moving around until we are all settled to push this back up. Now I'll get going with some steering wheel controls. On the left-hand side of the steering wheel, there's a number of buttons. We mainly control our cruise control from these buttons. We can turn on and off the cruise control here and use the rocker switch to set the speed. And this here allows us to do our steering wheel assistance to turn on and off, but we mainly need to keep our hands on the steering wheel for this feature. We can change our adaptive cruise control distances down the bottom here, and then we can press this button here to change the screen orientation from landscape to portrait. Lastly, there's a button in the top corner here which allows us to access our 360 surround view cameras. And on the right hand side we have some other buttons as well, mainly for our entertainment sources. We can change the volume by using the rocker switch and backwards and forwards for tracks or radio stations. In the top right corner we have a voice control which we can activate via the button or saying something. We can also accept phone calls via this button here. And down here we have a mode setting for changing the mode for listening to music, and also some of our further settings for the display in front of us. Next we have our stalks. Our left-hand stalk is where we're going to find our indicators. We can knock it up and down for indicators, and then we can adjust our lighting through here to either automatic lights or lights on all the time. On the right-hand indicator stalk, it's going to be all of our windscreen wipers as well, which we can knock up and down, and there are different settings for intensities of the windscreen wipers. In the BYD Dolphin, we have a minimalist center console with lots of clever buttons in here, and the gear selector is integrated into the center console. We keep our foot on the brake and we can select into drive or into reverse, of course, And to put the car back into park, it's just on the end here, nice and easy. As we move along, all of these can rock up or down to activate them. So we have our driving mode here, which allows us to set into sport, comfort or eco. We have a snow mode. We have our regenerative braking intensity, which is 2 different settings. A standard mode for this will feel like the car coasts a bit more when you're driving if you lift off the accelerator. If we were to change this to high, what you'll find is that it will slow the car down more in aid to get more regenerative braking and save more range. We have our hazard warning here, automatic air conditioning on and off, and front windscreen. And finally on the end, a nice volume controller. Down here we have our electronic handbrake along with an auto hold for the electronic handbrake, and finally our traction control. And then lastly down here there is an area where we have an SD card connection, charging connections for your phone, a 12-volt connection and some storage located under here. On the design trim we can also control the sunshade for the panoramic roof, a control located up here where we can push backwards and forwards. When we get to the interior controls for the touchscreen, that's where most of your settings are now going to be in the car. The great news about this touchscreen is we can actually change it from portrait to landscape. It's one of our greatest selling points for our BYD products. You can do this in one of 2 ways, a button located on the steering wheel, or you can press it on the touchscreen. We have 2 different home screens for our touchscreen. The first screen here is just showing some widgets, and we can then swipe across and that shows most of our main apps, with then a second page showing even more apps for you. We can swipe down from the top of the display and that will give us a few quick usable controls that we can control, such as the sunshade, regenerative braking settings, Bluetooth and rotating features. We can listen to music in a number of ways. We can have music stored on an SD card. We could of course listen to the radio if we wish, or there is also a Spotify feature. We can log into a paid Spotify account and access it directly from the car. We can of course pair our phone for Bluetooth as well, and we can do that by hitting the phone tab, hitting connect Bluetooth and follow the instructions on your smartphone. This will only take a few seconds to set up. Alternatively, we can pair our phone using a different method. We of course have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard on the BYD Dolphin. We have a button which we can click on for Android Auto, and that is wireless connectivity. Alternatively, we have a button for Apple CarPlay that we can click on, but this is wired connectivity, and we would connect this via the connections located down here. A great feature that was recently installed in a software update on BYD products is the fact that we can actually control our air conditioning by using 3 fingers located on the screen. We can push the 3 fingers up or down to change the temperature, and we can push them across from side to side to change the intensity of the air conditioning. Very clever feature. And then right at the bottom of the page there are a few extra buttons that we need to be aware of. We can hit a button which allows us to show multiple pages open at certain times, and we've got a button to allow us to go to home as well. Another thing to also be aware of though is software updates. This is a very important feature within BYD products to make sure your vehicle is the most up to date, but also allowing the best potential features and future features that come into these vehicles from a software perspective. So if your vehicle shows up with a software upgrade, it's really important to do it as soon as you can. The vehicle cannot be driven whilst the software update happens, and this will take between 30 and 90 minutes to fully download onto the vehicle. Once it's complete, you have the latest version of software. The final thing to show, which is a great feature, is the button that's dedicated here for our camera technology. If we were to press it, then what we actually have show up on the screen is a camera view of the 360-degree cameras, and we can move around to show different aspects of the camera technology working. A really, really nice feature. Well, we hope you found this video useful today. If you do have any questions, feel free to get in contact with a member of staff at one of your local retailers. Thank you.